Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Isengard shall prevail. To some more Lord of the Rings Total War for all intents and purposes, right? And this is Attilla Total War, the Dawnless Days conversion mod. And as you can see, I've changed things around a tiny bit. I've installed a couple of sub-mods, and we've went from minus 86 gold per turn to minus 6. Yeah, that's what we did. Look, it hasn't changed much, but I've sort of tweaked a little bit with the corruption mechanics, and not the corruption in terms of, you know, the corruption of the land, but the corruption in terms of financial corruption that you get and stuff like that. And so, basically, this is the sum total. Now, it's not really anything that will have an effect immediately, but it is something that will have an effect sort of in the later game, I believe. As far as control is concerned, we're doing okay. I mean, it definitely could be better, but this area is stable for now, and Isengard is stabilizing as well. It was a minus 93. And we do have the whole province and everything, so all things considered, I would say we've done relatively well. Now, fuel the furnaces gives me more industry, less control, less fertility, but we don't need fertility here. Growth is very good as well. Is there anything else I can put here that's... I could put tax rate, but that's not exactly great. Okay, let's take a look at our quote-unquote family. We've lost Ugluk, obviously, you know, long may praise be to him and all that. I think it's time we promote someone. And I am going to promote Mauhur. He's the one with the white hand on his face, so you know what? Yeah, you're getting promoted. Yeah? Yes. Alright, good. And then that's about it. So, next turn, for now we are just retraining these guys here. Well, I was going to say barely scraping by. We're not even scraping by. We're in the red, but I think that will improve rejection. I don't think it's very wise to reject Saruman the Wise, the Saruman the, what was it, the many-colored, etc., etc. But okay, if he doesn't want to get promoted, we could promote someone else. Now, this guy's a governor and a trusted servant. Yeah, I do need one more. It's a question of whether I want to do that. I could embezzle funds. Right? That's something I can do. Yeah, let's try and embezzle some funds. Maybe that'll improve our situation at least somewhat. Now, I've given it... I've thought long and hard, shall we say, about what we're going to do next, and I've decided that the best course of action for Isengard is to go further to the west, for now, at least. We have a difficult peace with Rohan, shall we say. I don't expect this peace to last by any stretch of the imagination, but I do have the Dunlending tribes, whom I have an aggression pact and a... Yeah, and this thing. Can we get a defensive alliance with them? Unfortunately, we cannot. Yeah, yikes. And then we do have the goblins as well, which I can get a non-aggression pact with them, if nothing else. And then, yeah, that's about it for now. That's okay. Gondor being a nuisance as ever. Their economy and might and everything. But I think we should go towards Isenwood. And generally, then over here, and then these territories. There's also a lot of these desolate areas that we can take, and I don't really expect to open up another front against Gondor in the south over here, but I need, well, I need a better economy, basically, right? That's the most important thing, and in order to achieve said better economy, first and foremost, I need to retrain most of these soldiers. I need this control here to go up by a little bit, and then I need to convert these buildings as well. However, I can't do any of that given the fact that I am making -5 gold per turn, so I need to invest this, quote-unquote, somewhere, and I think Isengard is going to be the perfect spot to do so, because then we can take on all of these guys over here. Question, what's the garrison Isengard like? Basically nothing. Okay, perfect, perfect. This is exactly what we're going to do. I thought about it long and hard, and this is what we're doing. This, I think, is best for us currently. Okay, we've achieved dominance level 2. Funds appropriated. Funds embezzled 102. Look, okay. Could be better. Could be worse. So, all things considered, right? Yeah. Next I want... Well, I definitely want bodyguard, I think, on Lurtz, because I don't want to lose him, and he is going to do some fighting. Matter of fact, probably quite a lot of fighting relatively soon. And let's make our way towards Isengard. Forced march, obviously. Need to get there as quickly as possible. And as far as public order is concerned, we're not doing terribly, but we're not swimming in public order either, I would say. Next up, reducing the upkeep for all our units, I think, is going to be a huge cash injection that we need. We are making a little bit of money. Quick question, if I raise the taxes to the next level, how terrible is that going to be for everyone? It's not really worth it. Matter of fact, lowering the taxes might get me further along economically than I think. Because I need public order to improve in Isengard, right? That's what I need first and foremost. That's what's going to provide the most amount of cash. And then once that happens, I also have this challenging logistics problem, so yeah, that'll go away. Okay, all things considered, it's not too bad. Objectives. We have an active mission in 15 turns. Have deployed in the following regions simultaneously at the start of the turn. Dunland, Lothlorien, and Anduin Vale, 3 agents. I can recruit one more, that's good. So let's think about this. You need to go to Lothlorien, Dunland, and Anduin's Vale, right? Okay, so there's Dunland. You can go over there. Westfold, East Emmet, Eastfold, Gap of Rohan, Western Gondor, Anduin's Vale. That's over here, isn't it? I think that's over here, if I remember correctly. And then Lothlorien obviously would be up here, if I'm not mistaken. Which I don't think I am. But we shall see. Okay, next turn. We may sign a provincial governor, of course. Of course we can. And we can have Saruman himself govern something, or we can... No, actually, you're going to be promoted to governor of Westfold. There we go, and then we can set an edict in the Westfold, despite not having full control over the province, which is, you know, tad strange, maybe. I think we go for control here, right? Influence is not bad. How is our influence doing? Can I check? It is rising rapidly. But no, I think here we go for control. It's going to put us at +2. It's going to work out all right. Okay, good. So, onwards we row. And yes, Saruman will be pleased. Okay, can you reach Isengard in a turn? Yes, you can. And then we go to war. Really? They've bumped into each other. Alright, there we go. Now, this is not going to be a easy fight, but I also don't expect it to be ridiculously difficult. We do outnumber the enemy slightly, but obviously I will need to fight this manually if I want to win, because auto-resolve here is not going to help us. Now, unfortunately, my bubble has slightly burst in that I've seen most of the settlements have the same sort of outlying thing, right? Not all of them. There are differences, as you can see. This is not the same settlement as the one we fought previously, the one we fought in previously, but, you know, they're sort of similar, and it has, well, it's sort of burst my happiness a little bit, because, I thought that there were more settlements, that they were all sort of custom and stuff. Turns out there's a lot of reused stuff. There's not that many siege battles, and there's not that many field battles and stuff, so... yeah, but, you know, it's fine. The one thing I will say, though, is that kind of... I don't necessarily want to say surprises me, but almost surprises me in a way, right? This mod has been in development for God knows how long, right? For like, I heard somewhere it was 10 years, I believe, right? And this might be a silly question, and it's gonna sound like I'm being a bit of a... well, a bit of a jerk when I say it out loud right now, like this, but I genuinely mean this as a question. Why not change to Warhammer? Like, why not move development over to Warhammer? Well, Juggernaut, they would have to sacrifice everything, they would have to throw away everything they've done. Yeah, I know, but isn't this mod, and this whole idea of turning Lord of the Rings into, you know, a Total War game, literally perfect for Warhammer Total War? I mean, you can have trolls, you already have all the entities and everything, you just need to reskin most of them. The economy of the game is so much better for Lord of the Rings. And I feel like the underlying sort of, how do I put this? Lower base damage. Well, we can try poison rounds. I mean, I'm not quite sure what I'll do. I think we should do poison rounds on the hunters, right? Yeah. It just seems to me like, even if you were a couple of years into the development of this mod, you could just pivot towards any of the Warhammer games, right? Even if you want to do it in Warhammer 1, if you've already invested the time or whatever. Plus, I have done no modding of any of the Total War. Well, that's not true. I've not done extensive modding in most of the Total War games. I've tried doing some modding in Empire Total War. The game is hell to modify, so yeah, I know some of the pain that mod developers go through. But with that in mind, doesn't Warhammer have like way better tools for modding? And I don't mean like slightly better, I mean just night and day difference, right? Because I believe that was the case for ages. Unless it's something very recent and I'm not aware of it, in which case, you know, whoops. Sorry, but that's why I'm saying I genuinely mean this as a question. Because at the time, I mean, I hate to say this, and I realize I'm repeating the same words over and over again, and I apologize for that. It's not the most well put together train of thought I've ever had, but I'm just trying to sort of be gentle and not be overly critical of the mod team, which has made an amazing product, and which has skyrocketed the player count of Attila Total War to one of the highest it's ever been, right? I don't want to seem like unappreciative of it, and you know the sort of response you get to criticizing mods often is, well, why don't you go and make a better mod yourself, etc., etc. This is not what I'm trying to do, don't get me wrong. It's a genuine question, like, is there any particular reason as to why this hasn't been done, other than just the amount of time invested, and you feel like, well, we've already gotten so much done, might as well, right? Because if that's the case, I mean, I respect it, fair enough, but at the same time, I get the feeling that if this same mod team got together and started working on a Warhammer 3 mod, okay, probably they would need some outside help for modifying the unit skins and stuff, because I think it's very different, modifying, like, large single entity units and stuff like, you know, giants, trolls, ogres, dragons, etc., versus modifying just infantry units. That could be a thing, but, like, think about it, we're missing out on the Nazgul because this is in Attila Total War, yeah? We're never going to see, well, sorry, not the Nazgul as in the ring wraiths, but we're missing on, I forget what their beasts are called, the ones that they ride. In the movies, I think they're also called the Nazgul, or something along those lines. I think the movie makes that mistake of calling the beasts that they ride Nazguls as well. In fact, you know, given the fact that we're still skirmishing with the enemy, I reckon I can probably check that while all of this is happening. Tell you what, that's the sort of road I want you to take. While that happens, I'm gonna Google it. Oh, let's also speed this up. They're letting me get free damage in with the oranges and everything, and I will take that. It's going to make the fight much easier. Well, free damage is no longer free, apparently, because they started shooting back, but we are still dealing significantly more damage to the enemy than they are to us. Fell beasts, also called hellhawks or Nazgul birds. Yeah, there you go. That's what they ride. So we're never going to see one in this game. We're missing out on that extremely cool aspect of the Lord of the Rings. And granted, this game is going to focus more on sort of the realistic military ventures, in that you may have an Nazgul for one battle, but the vast majority of the conflict is going to be done with the infantry, right? And without the heroes being present, and etc., obviously, and without them having too much of an impact on everything. Okay, fair enough. They're probably not going to have as major of a role as they would in Warhammer, and it is going to be a little bit more grounded in realism. Okay. At the same time, though, wouldn't it be cool, right? Wouldn't it be the most awesome thing ever to see them flying above the battlefield right now, for example, and, I don't know, raining fire and death and hell upon those archers over there, for example. I think that would be quite worth seeing, and I'm just a little bit sad that we don't get that because there isn't a Lord of the Rings mod for Warhammer. However, maybe at one point in the future, who knows. I think, sadly enough, one of the biggest obstacles for modding something like that in is going to be various cease and desist letters that you may get, and legal pressure from, well, from various sides, really. It doesn't have to be just from the copyright owners of Lord of the Rings. It could be from the game developers, publisher, it could be from left, right, and center, really, if you think about it, which is unfortunate, but what can we do? One of my units has used up all its ammunition. Which... oh, this one. The Goblin Men bows. Well, how many did you get? 137. You know what? You did alright as far as I'm concerned. Not bad at all. Listen, I need the cavalry to go after the archers, I need you to go after those archers, and I need Lurtz to go after the tribal spearmen. Looks like we've broken through the enemy ranks already. Yeah, and you go after them. Yeah, this is why the whole skirmishing phase at the beginning of the battle was so important, even though it wasn't the most entertaining thing to watch. Okay, that's okay, continue, that's fine. It's because we've weakened the enemy center and the enemy infantry so significantly that we just sort of crushed through most of the enemy force without much in the way of resistance. Plus, we do have some elite infantry in the form of these hill wardens, so yeah, all of this is fine. Well, let's stop firing just in case we don't just to make sure we don't hit our general. Because the enemy, ladies and gentlemen, is completely defeated. We have just 2 ranged units left, and those are not long for this world either. Alright, that was a good battle for us. In fact, that was, I would say, an extremely good battle for us. We can pull back the cavalry. I want to spread out the casualties now a little bit, so we have an easier time replenishing them. I have also changed how the replenishing system works. It used to be heavily based on control in the area. It is no longer so. So I've reverted that to more of a vanilla, shall we say, Attila Total War style replenishment, where you get almost equal replenishment everywhere. Not quite, I don't think. There's still modifiers to this, like if you have the recruiting building for the unit, it gets bonuses to replenishment, stuff like that, which obviously makes sense, but I think the vanilla retraining and replenishing of units, well, not the vanilla, but the base retraining rate in the mod is a little bit too low for areas with low control. You could argue that's supposed to be the case, but it makes fighting rebellions extremely annoying and difficult, in that you're going to get more rebels than replenishment overall, because you don't get much of a modifier from crushing rebellions. So, you know, just wanted to make sure that isn't too big of a problem. This, however, is... I did not know they had a unit left over here. Okay, tell you what, let's go attack them with this, and then I'm going to bring all the hill wardens this way. Apart from you, because you're busy. And I can bring you guys in as well. Alright, let's whip these guys, make sure they get out of the way in time. Whip you guys to make sure you get where you need to be on time. And then these guys broke, because it's just these ones we're chasing. Alright, use the cavalry, chase them down. Bring these guys in as well, and then whip you out of the way. Because you were just there to keep them busy for a little bit, while the other guys arrive. But these are some, yeah, tier 4 infantry, these are incredible. Yikes. May actually lose this entire unit. It should have set off red flags, I'm going to be completely honest with you, when they had one ranged unit left running away from me and the battle wasn't over. That should have set off some red flags. Unfortunately, I haven't really thought about that too much, so... Oh, they're going the wrong way, of course they are. Okay, let's just get up there. Men have rallied. Good, good. Get out of the way. Oh, they broke. Army losses. We haven't lost a lot of Fire a ballista or energy unit during a campaign siege. But I did that already. Okay, fine. Right. So 2.3. Deployed 300 losses. That's alright. I'm very glad we didn't have to fight these guys at the end. They just shattered due to army losses. We did a good job by loot and occupy. We did a good job by I probably should not have looted the town then, should I? Have? No, probably not. Yeah. Alright, maybe we just forget about that for a second and we turn our attention over here. Because this is just as important. And it also allows me to test something out. Do these buildings repair on their own? I don't know, but okay, yeah, we've killed the enemy general. That's all fine and well. As you can see, replenishment here is not very good, despite everything. But it's not that awful either, so bit of balancing, I would say. Right, and then what is this? Northern... Yeah, it's more, it's more of these tribesmen from the north, which I would rather unite through force than through diplomacy, if I'm brutally honest. But what do we have? Ah, so this belongs to the Dunelanding tribes. The capital of this area. Okay, can I request region? Can't request region. They consider this region their birthright and will not part with it willingly. Right. That's okay. They can hold on to it. What's the other one? All the way to the north, and then there's a couple of desolate ones over here as well. Alright. Not much else I can do, just end the turn. Oh, and so that's the main menu. I think the... whatchamacallit, the... yeah, this works now. The encyclopedia works now. Problem is, you need to manually go through all the mechanics, factions, etc., etc., so it doesn't really work as perhaps you might expect. I think I need to grab this place, right? It's the last enemy settlement. They wouldn't have much of an army there. Yeah, I know I'm trespassing, but at the same time, right? Okay, so I will auto-resolve this, even though it will result in some extra casualties that I don't really need, given the fact that kind of in a difficult spot.
This way. Drop your weapons.
I'm just hoping they don't lose the two Mordor Orc Band, or Orc Band Warriors, what is it? Mordor Rabble, yeah. And we didn't. Okay, so we can subjugate them, we can sack, occupy, loot, and occupy. I think we're just gonna go for the regular occupation this time, although subjugating the enemy isn't necessarily the worst idea. Did this repair at all? I think it did, didn't it? Kinda looks like it did a tiny little bit, right? Or am I completely insane? Well, listen, it's either or, and as suppose eventually we will find out. I am wondering how pricey it will be to colonize these desolate regions. And I am also wondering how difficult would it be to get to the Shire, and if there's anything there in terms of an organized faction. Because if there isn't, well, we have a bright future ahead of us, let's just say. Okay, yeah, faction destroyed. This guy's moving along. I don't know if I can do the mission, though. That's a bit of a problem. Okay, please don't tell me they're going to take Hornburg. Surely Rohan will retake it, right? Yeah, these guys have terrible stats. They're terrible in general, and yeah, no. Surely they will retake it, and then afterwards I can deal with that. Hopefully. Yeah? Maybe? One can hope. Certainly one can hope, if nothing else. Okay, Influence of Isengard +2. We're definitely going to need that everywhere. Yeah, like literally everywhere. Okay, so the buildings do repair on their own. Good to know. Very important information. Next bit of extremely important information. How pricey is it to colonize something? Insanely pricey. Okay. Well, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Not okay, actually. Distinctly not okay. But what can we do? Okay, tell you what. We're going to need this. And we're going to need this. We're finally making some money, but we're still on the sword's edge, as they say. It's around 6,000 gold to colonize desolate regions. That's not very good. Okay, that is going to be awesome. Level up on the governor means that I can get even more taxes in, and that's going to change things. However, this is the thing I'm afraid of the most. 12 turns to reach these things. This, that. I apologize. I should probably finish my sentences, yeah? Not a terrible idea. It's 12 turns to reach Dunland, which I already have, Lothlorien and Anduin's Vale. Deorfeld. There you go. That has been reached. And then I think I'm going to need to forego some economic development. So I need the Uruk-hai soldier camp, or alternatively, the chieftain's cabin. No, I can get the chieftain's cabin, this is just in the city, right? Yeah. So I need a capital somewhere. Do I have a capital anywhere? I will in a few turns. That's good. That is definitely good. Okay, we can get rid of this. I don't need a levying camp in Isenwood. Alright, next turn. Honestly, if the Dunlanding tribes take over Hornburg and you may now be appointed to alerts can be appointed to a higher office, and so can Mog. Good. Urukai archers and stuff. God, this is difficult to calculate and whatever. Yeah, genuinely don't know. Okay. I need to get eyes on this place. They have an onager as part of the garrison, but the garrison itself isn't that large. But mostly tier 1 and 2 infantry. I reckon I can take it, maybe even this turn. Yeah. So this is one of those battles that I do not like. Because it will gut my forces, but I need to win this battle. Let's do it. I need to win this battle because I need the chieftain's hut in order to recruit an agent to get to the third region that I need for the ring, to finding the ring mission, right? And given the fact that finding the ring is the only thing that has a timer on it, I really think that's something I should focus on. Although, of course, I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I have no experience playing this prior, etc., etc., but I genuinely think that is something I should focus on. I also know I am way behind in terms of my technological development. Well, I mean, technology advances sort of linearly, no matter what you do, but in terms of, like, actually building the buildings that I've researched, I am way behind on that. I am fully aware of this fact. However, I'm also fully aware of the fact that there is precious little I can do about this. Now, here I think flaming rounds might actually be a better option. Reload time goes down, but it will set things on fire, hopefully. And I don't really care about reload time, right? Yeah. Now, I think we're going to just destroy it with physical damage before the fire damage can get a chance to do anything, but still, perhaps worth a shot, right? Oh, and I tried manually using the onager to hit things. I don't recommend it. Let's just say it's not great. There's something that was great, though. The machine guns from, what was it called? Fall of the Samurai. Total War game and you get a machine gun. So you gun down everything. That was the most fun direct control unit, I think, out of all of them. Warhammer has some cool ones, but machine gun in the Age of the Samurai, yeah. Okay. Fire damage at 100%. That saved us approximately one shot, so in my modest opinion, worth it. Okay, and we just need one fireball to land on the watchtowers to disable them. I will admit, hitting the tribal spearmen along the way, not bad either. Not bad at all. I doubt I can hit the walls and breach them and cause any significant damage like so. Oh, it turns out we need 2 fireballs to hit this watchtower, alright. Okay, that should do it. Stop. Those 2 watchtowers are gone. I need this one and this one to be destroyed as well. If we can pull that off, that would aid our advance greatly. And as far as the enemy bowmen are concerned and things like that, not necessarily the most important thing. This single onager has done more good for this army than, I don't know, anything else I've recruited thus far, save for maybe the Hill Wardens, but there are 3 of them, and I'm paying a heck of a price just for having them in the army, so... Although they do let me pull off battles like this, so... Because just with regular Mordor rabble, I wouldn't be able to do this, and yeah, I appreciate the fact that they are there. Definitely. Alright, let's move out. Artillery barrage is almost over. Now, remind me if I'm wrong in the comments, feel free to correct me. I believe the scourge of the burning or the scourging, whatever, of the Shire happens after the Battle of Hornburg and after the... Well, it sort of happens towards the end, right, when the good guys have quote-unquote won, but that still that still sort of stays there as a reminder of the horrors of war and the great sacrifice that had to be paid, and that, you know, comes as a bit of a shocker towards the end of the books, if I remember correctly, right? Here, it's gonna happen before any of the terrible battles for Isengard happen, so... Not for Isengard the place, but just for Isengard the faction, right? So there's a slight deviation there in terms of the lore, but... Yeah. Okay, you definitely need to get out of the way of these guys. Although, to be fair, not really. They're out of ammo anyway. Yeah. Oh, we finally got it, thank you, with the last shots. Okay, so now the problem is going to be getting to the enemy archers. That's going to be the biggest problem. Because it requires that we... Let's go attacking Testudo and just get in there and provide some support to our guys. Encourage... Yeah, no, did they didn't even hit the thing in the end, did they? Nah. Alright, well, look, you've done more than I could ever ask of you, so... Your service is definitely appreciated. The enemy will only have one functioning tower defending the city proper, so... All things considered, I think that was a job well done. If only I could somehow breach their gates... and go around and hit them from the rear, or hit some of their archers or something. That would make this battle a heck of a lot less painful. Yeah, I'm out of range from this way as well. Okay, let's put you guys there, and then we can move the archers in by a teeny tiny little bit. We attack soon. My childhood. To be a teenager again and experience the wonders of Battle for Middle-earth 1 and 2 again. Okay, we are missing with way too many of these spears and arrows. I'm just gonna say it. We need to work on our accuracy, folks. Hopefully when you get replaced by the Uruk-hai crossbows, this will be a lot less painful to watch. All that ammunition going to waste. Okay, so the Uruk-hai Raiders and the Goblin Men Ruffians are kind of taking the brunt of the damage here, but the Hill Wardens are doing just fine. The problem is they're sort of a blocking unit, they don't do a lot of damage, and so I get the feeling that this is going to be bit of a... I don't know how to put it. It's going to be a bit painful to watch. Just my entire army grind away at a seemingly impregnable defense. Which will be penetrated eventually, but... well, we will lose a lot of men doing it. Oh, men. We will lose a lot of Uruks doing it. Orcs? Orcs. Orcs is the generic term. I've made this mistake before. I've made the mistake of thinking that orcs are just the ones in Mordor, and that they are a particular type of abomination, evil being, whatever, in Tolkien's universe. No, orc is the general broad term, Uruk being the specific fighting orc, or a more... how do I put this? More specialized, I guess, unit for war, and then Uruk-hai being Isengard specific, right? That means that there are indeed Uruks in Mordor as well, just not Uruk-hai, yeah? I've made this mistake before, but it was explained to me by a... can I say Tolkien professional? Not quite, I think, given how seriously people take Tolkien and how dedicated people are to his works and stuff, but certainly someone that is in the academic field when it comes to Tolkien and has written things about Lord of the Rings and has published papers on the subject and stuff, so it counts, right? But this was explained to me, and I no longer make that mistake, shall we say. Okay. Is the thing. Archers will take over this plaza. No, actually, you will take over the plaza. The cavalry will go after the bowmen. Because I didn't realize we still had bowmen there that are fighting us. I'm not going to make the same mistake again of leaving the central plaza unattended, in that I will just forget that there is generally a unit there most of the time, and it tends to be the best enemy unit that defends the plaza, so we'll keep that in mind this time. Okay, I don't want to risk Lurtz. He's done too much for us already. Alright, let's go. Oh no, that's it. Victory. Alright, if there was a unit in the plaza, it broke. Good, so, after all my complaining, time and time again, we've lost no more than 120 men. Yikes. That was painful for the enemy, I am absolutely sure. Now, loot and occupy seems like the correct choice of action, given everything. Because, yeah, I don't need this. Although I do need this, and I do need this. These things will repair on their own over time. And I need the money now. Lurtz has gained another level. He is now level 10 as far as commanding troops is concerned. Look at that. The man is an absolute... well, again, I say the man. Just leftover remnant thought from playing Total War games, right? The Uruk is an absolute unit, as they say. And now it's time to start thinking about some other types of bonuses. Let's go for that. Okay. And then we can upgrade our units to have improved ammunition. Yeah. Okay, good, definitely. Definitely. As soon as this thing gets demolished, we're building a chieftain's camp. But then we can also start working on some public order. Probably, right? Yeah. That's 1,000, and then the working field is probably going to be What's the fertility like in Isengard? It's actually good. Yeah, we're gonna need some food. I think this is fine. Fortunately, we cannot build it. 67 to repair. Right, speed it up. Over here, we can go with an orc gathering. I think that'll bring in some wealth. Experimental lair are already put down. Although levying complex would be... No. Alright, we're going this way. Right, but we have some money, finally. We have some money coming in. And these guys will replenish a fair bit if there is any counterattack coming from Pucklemen Dwelling. Pucklemen Dwelling, I want to say Puckle. If there isn't a counterattack coming from this way, we will be able to respond, and even more importantly, if there are any rebellions in this area to the new administration that we're imposing, that will also be dealt with relatively easily. Okay, good. Next turn, we're recruiting an agent, and we're sending him to Anduin's Vale. Oh no, we're sending him to Lothlorien, because I'm not quite sure where that is. And yeah, of course, you... Isengard influence and tax rate. Yep, absolutely. That is going to be vital in this area. And there we go. We've somehow dragged ourselves out of the mud, pun fully intended given that we're Isengard, financially speaking, and we're doing okay again. We're making some amount of money. I think Hornburg has just been... Yeah, it's just been sacked, so they haven't taken it. But they did win the battle. More power to them, I suppose. And now we're going to need... you. And we're sending you over here. Although, tell you what, I'm going to need to look up in which direction exactly Lothlorien is. Because, well, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure if Lothlorien was on the left or the right side of the mountains over here. I know I'm a terrible Lord of the Rings fan. It's been a while since I've looked at the map of Lord of the Rings, right? This is Mirkwood. Maybe I can discern it from just this, right? What does that say? Right, so there's the Shire, there's the Misty Mountains. Goblins, Erebor in the north, Mirkwood, Goldur. And then you have this thing over here. Anduin's Vale should be... Oh wait, I can tell just by mousing over what region... Ha! Okay. Yeah, well, I can tell for some regions, not for all, until I've reached them. Okay. Danesall... Yeah, I'm gonna look this up a bit later, but for now, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We've made some mistakes, but overall I think we've dragged ourselves out of the woodwork, or the mud, financially speaking, just on time to really start kicking off the war machine and, well, getting in the fight, as they say, right? At any rate, thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video, and we'll stay tuned with the rest of the series and the rest of the content that I produce here on the channel. I'll see you all next time. Have fun, take care, and bye-bye.